And then we finished a Dutch auction and we bought 175 million more. And I thought, well, I got it 20% cheaper. Why wouldn't I? And then people thought, well, you're going to stop. And then we didn't stop. And then Square, now Block, bought Bitcoin. And then Tesla bought Bitcoin. And we bought more Bitcoin. We're up to 6 billion Bitcoin. By the way, if you want to turn 250 million into 6 billion, buy Bitcoin. Don't buy gold. If I bought gold, I would have had $250 million worth of gold instead of $6 billion worth of Bitcoin.
Bitcoin Miami 2022 really lived up to its promise of being the biggest gathering of Bitcoiners ever. The just concluded conference was the focus of tens of millions of people worldwide throughout the week. Apart from the thousands of investors, institutional and retail, that attended the conference, we also saw a litany of the greatest minds talking about the fantastic attributes of Bitcoin and why every investor should invest a significant portion of their wealth in the crypto asset. One of the most prominent speakers that wowed the audience with his speech is none other than MicroStrategy's Michael Saylor. There is no doubt that many people flew to Miami mainly to listen to the billionaire talk about Bitcoin. He did not disappoint them and would easily have won many others over with his passionate speech about the world's greatest cryptocurrency. In his speech, Saylor talks about everything from regulations to the next phases of development for the Lightning Network. On regulations, the billionaire businessman and entrepreneur maintains that Bitcoin remains the only ethical, technical, and financial risk haven asset for government officials, technical companies, and investors. We will now take you to Saylor's speech, but before we do, don't forget to hit the like button and drop your comments and observations in the comment section below. Enjoy the video.
The momentum is clearly behind Bitcoin. A lot of people have anxiety about regulation, and they ask me, aren't you afraid? And I do not have anxiety about regulation. When I look at this, I say, yeah, there's a lot of stuff to be worked through. FASB's working through some accounting issues, FDIC's working through some banking issues, SEC's working through some security issues, the administration's working through all their issues. But regardless of how fast that happens and how sharp that occurs, I don't think there's any outcome other than favorable for Bitcoin. And I think that what I say over and over again is Bitcoin is the ethical safe haven for any public figure, and it is the technical safe haven for any technical company, and it is the financial safe haven for any investors. So if you have anxiety, I think that people that are thinking about this are going to realize that Bitcoin is the risk-off crypto asset network, and all of this regulation is going to create volatility, but ultimately the single number one most important issue is you walk into a room with people that have collectively 10 or 20 trillion dollars, and you tell the story, and they say, well, Bitcoin sounds better than gold, and Bitcoin sounds better than owning a big tech stock, and Bitcoin sounds like the solution to all the world's problems, and it's just so good that someone is going to take it away from me because it's too good. And what you need is this one-page memo from the White House saying, no, we're not taking it away from you. Well, and then at that point, people can start to put billions of dollars into this asset. And I think that technology is going to drive adoption of Bitcoin more aggressively in the coming 36 months, even than it has in the last 36 months. A moment to give a shout out to Cash App and to Kraken, because I think both of those companies have done an enormous service for the Bitcoin community by integrating Lightning into their platforms, and I think they've thrown down the gauntlet. If I put away my macroeconomic hat and just think as a technologist, if you're a technical entrepreneur, if you're a venture capitalist, and if you're trying to figure out what's the next great thing, I think it has to involve Lightning in somehow. And if I look at the industry, I think every crypto exchange, if they're going to remain viable and competitive, they need to build Lightning into their exchange. And so I hope the people that run exchanges that don't have Lightning are listening to my presentation. I think that the lesson that's being shown to all of us is if you want to be successful, then you adopt the Bitcoin standard. And the Bitcoin standard is you buy Bitcoin, you hold Bitcoin, you support the Bitcoin protocol, and then you support the layer 2 open source permissionless Lightning protocol so that your company can trade and transact with all of the other hundreds, soon to be thousands, soon to be hundreds of thousands of companies in this entire asset economy at the speed of light, friction-free.
Saylor also talks about how MicroStrategy turned $250 million into $6 billion by investing in Bitcoin. He explains that if the company had invested in gold, the money wouldn't have appreciated, but it invested in the world's largest cryptocurrency. Though its investment has multiplied in folds, it will appreciate even more as the network continues to grow.
I'm also excited about what Lightning Labs announced this week with their Ethereum protocol, because if we can move USD stablecoins at the speed of light over the Lightning network, then I think the killer application in the world is going to be when 6 billion people, maybe 8 billion people, when your 3-year-old's got it, when 8 billion people run around with a mobile phone, with an Android or iOS app, and they've got a Lightning wallet, and that wallet has got some BTC in it as a store of value, and it's got some USD or Euro or CNY or whatever as a medium of exchange. And then you're going to see tens of trillions and then hundreds of trillions of dollars all moving on Lightning rails secured by the Bitcoin network. And then people are going to wake up and realize, holy crap, this stuff really is going to change the world. Any form of money moving at any frequency instantly anywhere in the world over Bitcoin, right, is such a beautiful vision. So let's talk about capital markets. I just think we've made enormous progress. 18 months ago, MicroStrategy bought $250 million of Bitcoin. People thought we were crazy. You know, and everybody said, well, you bought it, you're not gonna buy any more, and when are you gonna sell it? You know, and then it promptly traded down, and we were down $50 million, and people were dancing on my grave, gleefully speculating about when the board of directors were gonna fire me. And then we finished a Dutch auction and we bought 175 million more, and I thought, well, I got it 20% cheaper, why wouldn't I? And then people thought, well, you're going to stop. And then we didn't stop, and then Square, now Block, bought Bitcoin, and then Tesla bought Bitcoin, and we bought more Bitcoin. We're up to 6 billion Bitcoin. By the way, if you want to turn 250 million into 6 billion, buy Bitcoin. Don't buy gold. If I bought gold, I would have had $250 million worth of gold instead of $6 billion worth of Bitcoin. So when I say it's a lever and it's a ladder, I mean, yes, it's a ladder.
In the final phase of his speech, Saylor explains that Bitcoin is doing great on many ends. He adds that many public firms, leading asset management firms, investment banks, and other financial institutions are showing more acceptance toward the asset than they did just 2 or 3 years ago. He also relates a personal experience that occurred with Merrill Lynch, an investment and wealth management division of the Bank of America. Listen to Saylor's great ending to a fantastic speech.
So now at the end of, right about now, we've got 24 publicly traded miners. We got another dozen public companies. We've got $100 billion worth of assets flowing in this economy. Investment banks are doing deals, they're doing ATMs, they're doing convertible debt, we've done junk bonds, we've done all sorts of things. And I feel like the capital market's coming alive. From my perspective, Cathie, 24 months ago, I went to Merrill Lynch and I said, I want to buy Bitcoin. They laughed at me and said, not only will I not sell it to you, we're not allowed to talk about it or we get fired. Like, okay, well, then I wired like $175 million out of that bank and I went somewhere else. You know, I think the victory lap here is now my inbox has Bitcoin research from Merrill Lynch sent to me by the same broker. Like, we're covering it now. This is what we think. So every bulge bracket firm is starting to cover it. They're all grudging that they're going to start to trade it. It's coming. And you've got all these publicly traded companies that are leading the way. We got to wrap it up here, but I leave you with 2 thoughts. One, Whenever I meet with very powerful people, politicians, senators, Congress persons, governors, or whenever I meet with billionaires or CEOs, normally what they say to me is, my daughter or my son said you're a rock star and I have to meet you. I had a guy come to my house. I met his son, and the next day the son brought his father, and his father could buy the entire city of Miami. And he said, well, I don't know what's going on, but I know Bitcoin is really important, and my son says I got to sit down and listen. And so I orange pilled him for 2 hours. And I'm not going to say who, because it's such a common story, but my point here is, every one of you knows someone. Go tell a CEO, go tell your father, go tell your mother, go tell somebody that Bitcoin's going to change the world and they should figure out more about it, because the number one thing you can do is educate the world on Bitcoin and let people know they need to figure out Bitcoin. And every one of you does make a difference, because I would never get those meetings if it wasn't like someone that went and said, you got to pay attention. And my last point to you, you do not sell your Bitcoin. Thank you. Thank you.
Whatever you do, don't sell your Bitcoin. As great minds like Michael Saylor, Kevin O'Leary, Cathie Wood, Anthony Scaramucci, Jack Mallers, and other speakers have informed us all week, many incredible developments are coming to the Bitcoin network, and you really don't want to miss out on them. Thanks for watching the video. Don't forget to leave your comments below and hit the like button.